I have been thinking lately about a really specific feeling, and I just never understood why it happens. Maybe you have noticed this too. Picture this. You are walking into the office, or maybe you're heading out to the gym, and you are carrying one of those massive gallon-sized water jugs.
Oh, yeah. The ones with the inspiring quotes down the side.
Right, the ones that tell you to keep going, keep drinking, and, you are sipping from it constantly all day long.
Yeah.
By all normal logic, you are doing everything right for your health, but despite carrying around and drinking all that water, you still wake up with this awful dry mouth.
Yes, I hear this from people all the time.
And you still get that dull, heavy headache right behind your eyes by midday. Or you just feel this heavy wave of being totally tired. You are drinking constantly, but you are still somehow incredibly thirsty.
This is a totally maddening feeling because, we are told over and over that fixing thirst is simply a matter of volume.
Right, like just pour more in.
Exactly. The common advice is that if you feel thirsty, you simply haven't poured enough water down the pipe. But when you really look at how the body works, that idea just falls apart.
I mean, I have always felt like a failure when I couldn't drink enough. Like it was my fault.
Oh, so many of us feel that guilt. But thirst is rarely just a volume problem. It is mostly a physical balance problem.
Which is why we are doing a deep dive into this today. We are looking at the hidden truth behind why plain water alone often fails to fix real thirst. And our mission today is to figure out what is actually happening inside your cells when this goes wrong.
Yeah, and to look at the gentle, daily steps you can take to fix it.
Mhm.
Because to really grasp this, we have to look past the obvious dry mouth. We have to look at the quieter signs your body sends when this balance is off.
Like what kind of signs?
Things like muscle cramps at night, when your calf muscle just locks up.
Oh, wow. Yes, that hurts so much.
It is awful. Or feeling a sudden wave of dizzy spells when you stand up from your desk. Some people even notice their chest feels like it flutters or skips a beat after a normal workout.
See, I would never link those things to just being thirsty.
Right. But the core issues, the thirst that won't stop, the cramps, the dizzy feeling, they all trace back to one tiny structure in the body. It is the sodium and potassium pump.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because this pump thing, it sounds kind of complex.
It is actually a very elegant system. Every single cell you have, whether it is a brain cell or a heart cell, has this thin layer around it. And inside that layer are tiny proteins that act like little doorways.
Little doorways for the water.
Sort of. The most vital one is this pump. It is constantly moving. It pushes sodium out of the cell, and it pulls potassium into the cell.
Wow. And I was reading that this takes a huge amount of energy, right?
Oh, a massive amount. The body uses up to a third of its daily resting energy just to keep these tiny pumps spinning every single second.
A third of our energy just for that?
Yes. That shows you just how vital this balance is to keeping us alive. And this brings us to how water actually moves. Water is kind of lazy.
Lazy, like it just goes with the flow.
Exactly. It just follows the highest amount of minerals.
Right.
If the pump is doing its job, pushing sodium out and pulling potassium in it creates a clear path. The water naturally follows that potassium and moves inside the cell.
Where it is actually needed.
Right. To make energy and clear out waste.
So, if I can use an image here, drinking plain water is kind of like having a package dropped on your porch, but the front door is locked.
That is a good way to look at it.
Like the water is in the body, but it can't get into the house.
Well, looking at the actual mechanics, it is more like a revolving door at a big hotel.
Oh, okay.
For the door to turn, a piece of sodium has to step into one side to be pushed out, and a piece of potassium has to step into the other side to be pulled in.
So if there is no potassium waiting outside to come in...
The revolving door jams. It just stops.
Wow. The door just jams.
Yeah. You can drink a whole gallon of plain water. So the water is there, it is in your stomach, it goes into your blood. But because the revolving door is jammed, the water cannot get inside the actual cell.
That is so wild. It just sits there.
It just pools around the outside of the cells, or your kidneys just flush it right back out.
Which leads to this concept that genuinely blew my mind when we were prepping for this deep dive. The idea that drinking a massive amount of plain water can actually physically dry you out.
Yes, the hydration paradox.
Because I have always been taught that you cannot drink too much water unless you are doing some crazy stunt.
It happens much easier than people think. When you drink massive amounts of plain water without getting enough minerals, you rapidly thin out the sodium in your blood.
So your blood just gets too watery.
Exactly. And your body senses this drop in blood sodium and panics. Blood chemistry needs to stay in a very tight range to keep your heart beating right.
And this is where the old wellness myths I used to believe get this totally wrong. I always thought the body would just flush the extra water out.
It tries. But because the blood is so watery, the water naturally rushes into the cells to try and balance things out.
Wait, it rushes into the cells.
Yes. And that is where it gets risky.
Hmm.
The water rushes into the cells so fast that they begin to swell up like water balloons.
Oh, wow. That sounds really bad.
It is. This is why having super diluted blood is so tough on the body, mostly for the brain. Brain cells are stuck inside a rigid skull. They have no room to swell.
So you are drinking water to feel refreshed, but you are actually causing your cells to become totally waterlogged.
Yes, you destroy that delicate mineral balance.
That is a scary image. The cells are basically drowning because we flooded the system without giving it the minerals to manage the flow.
And potassium is really the unsung hero here.
We always hear about sodium being the bad guy.
Right, but roughly 98% of the body's potassium lives inside the cells. That internal potassium is the anchor that safely holds the exact right amount of water inside.
Okay, so if potassium is the anchor, why are we all struggling so much?
Well, when you look at modern daily life, we are breaking that anchor down step by step.
Because of what we eat.
Largely, yes. Our modern food creates a massive mismatch. A lot of the quick food we grab is highly processed, which means it is packed with hidden sodium.
So we get way too much sodium outside the cell.
Right. And at the exact same time, we eat just a tiny fraction of the fresh greens our grandparents ate. So our potassium intake is incredibly low.
So we have this traffic jam of sodium trying to get out and no potassium waiting to come in.
Exactly. The revolving door stops.
But you know, it isn't just about what we eat. I hear so much about how our busy routines are actively draining whatever minerals we do have.
Oh, daily habits play a huge role. Think about a standard morning for many of us.
Okay.
You wake up tired, so right away you have a big cup of coffee.
Guilty.
Caffeine tells the kidneys to flush out fluid, and it takes sodium and potassium right along with it.
Right.
Then, maybe you push yourself through a tough workout because you feel guilty if you skip it.
Yeah, that pressure is real.
You sweat, losing even more of those vital minerals. Then you finish up and you chug a giant bottle of completely plain water.
Because that is what we are told is healthy.
But you are replacing the fluid volume while totally ignoring the missing minerals. The pump is working overtime, but it has no raw materials to work with.
I get that. The physical grain makes sense. Sweating loses minerals. But I really want to pause and push back on something here.
Sure.
Because I also hear that stress is a huge factor. I understand how running on a track drains me. But how does sitting at a desk, stressing over a deadline, physically drain my cell doors?
It is a great question. And it comes down to our stress hormones, mostly cortisol.
Okay, cortisol. The stress hormone.
Right. When you are pushing through work pressure, ignoring your body signals, maybe eating late or staring at screens before sleep, your body ramps up its cortisol.
Because it thinks we are in danger.
Exactly. Now, the kidneys are in charge of balancing your minerals. But cortisol looks a lot like another hormone, the one that tells your kidneys to hold on to sodium.
Wait, so the kidneys get confused?
Yes. They see all this cortisol from your work stress, and they mistake it for the salt-saving hormone.
Oh my goodness.
So the kidneys think the body's in a state of sheer panic. They start wildly hoarding sodium in the blood.
And what happens to the potassium?
To make room for all that hoarded sodium, the kidneys actively flush potassium out of your system.
Wow. So just being stressed at work physically forces your kidneys to ruin your mineral balance.
It really does. Constant stress directly breaks the locks on those cell doors.
That connection is just wild to me. Your mental health is directly shutting down your body's ability to use water.
It is all connected. And this is why we see this shift happen over the decades of someone's life.
Like getting older.
Yeah. It is not something that breaks in one day. In your 20s, many of us form these habits. We lean hard on coffee to get through the day. We skip meals. We ignore hunger.
We only drink water when we're super thirsty.
Right. Then, as people move into their 30s, the career stress and family demands usually pile up.
The guilt kicks in. Family doesn't always take mental health seriously.
Exactly. So sleep gets bumpy. That chronic cortisol spike just becomes the normal baseline. The kidneys are constantly struggling to keep any potassium at all.
And is that when the physical symptoms start?
Yes. This is often the phase where I hear people mention waking up in the middle of the night with their calf muscle totally locked up in a cramp.
Oh, that makes so much sense now.
And by the time people reach their 40s, years of this high-stress, low-mineral pattern begin to show up as bigger issues. Things like changes in blood pressure.
It is just a slow, quiet drift over the years.
Mostly because we were taught to judge our health using completely flawed rules.
Oh, you mean the clear urine myth. We have to talk about that.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Because this is like the golden rule of wellness that everyone knows, right? If your urine is perfectly clear, you are perfectly hydrated.
It is everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually the exact opposite of what the body wants.
Wait, really? We have all been patting ourselves on the back for clear urine.
I know. But if your urine is totally clear all day long, it usually means the water is simply flushing through your system way too fast.
So it isn't even being absorbed.
No. It means you lack the sodium and potassium gradient to actually pull the water into your cells. The body is just dumping the extra volume.
Wow. We are basically power washing our insides and calling it perfect health.
Exactly. A pale straw color is the true sign of good, balanced body chemistry.
This reframes so many myths for me. Thirst doesn't always mean you lack water.
No, it often means your body needs the minerals to use the water you already drank.
And the idea that only pro athletes need to think about electrolytes.
Totally false.
Yeah.
Sitting in a cold office under high stress, skipping lunch, creates a massive mineral demand.
You don't need to be running races to need support. And salt isn't inherently evil, is it?
Not at all. Your body strongly needs sodium to keep the fluid in your blood. It is really about the ratio between sodium and potassium.
I think this is a perfect time to bring up some real-life stories we looked at for this deep dive, because hearing how normal people fix this makes it so much more real.
Oh, I agree. Stories help so much.
There was this one story about a woman named Sarah. She is in her 30s, working in an office in Ohio.
Yes, I remember that one.
She was doing that trendy gallon-a-day water challenge. She carried the jug everywhere, feeling super proud. But she was dealing with awful afternoon headaches and those terrible night leg cramps.
And her first instinct, which is what we all do, was to try and drink even more water to flush out the headache.
Right, which, as we know now, just thinned out her blood even more and made the cramps so much worse.
Yeah, just jams the cell doors further.
But she didn't do some crazy medical thing to fix it. She made a really tiny change.
What'd she do?
She just stopped chugging huge amounts of plain water on an empty stomach right when she woke up, and instead she just made sure to eat a solid source of potassium with her lunch.
That is so gentle. And the results of shifts like that are amazing.
Right. Within 2 weeks, the headaches faded and the night cramps completely vanished.
And she didn't even change her job or lower her stress.
No, she just gave her cells the specific keys they needed to unlock the revolving door.
That is what happens when you work with the body instead of against it.
There's another story, too, about Michael. He is a guy in his 40s down in Texas.
Doing outdoor work, right?
Yeah, a site manager, working out in the intense heat, sweating all day. He was drinking huge coolers of plain water before lunch, but he was getting incredibly dizzy by the early afternoon.
His friends probably thought it was just the heat or getting older.
Exactly. But he noticed the dizzy spells only peaked on the days he sweat the most and drank the most plain water.
Because he was sweating out his sodium and replacing it with pure volume.
Yeah, and again, his fix was so simple, he literally just added a small pinch of salt to his water bottle, and he started eating a banana with his lunch.
That one little daily tweak.
Just a pinch of salt and a banana, and the afternoon dizzy spells just vanished.
Because neither of them needed to drink more water. They just needed to support the cell doors.
Which moves us nicely into the daily steps. Because understanding how the pump works is cool, but I want to know what to put on my grocery list.
Let's talk about the behavioral steps first, because they are free and so gentle.
Okay, what is the first step?
The best thing you can do is time your water intake mostly with your meals instead of chugging it on an empty stomach.
Because the food helps.
Yes, food naturally holds the complex mix of minerals your body needs to process fluid. When you sip water alongside a meal, your gut slowly releases those minerals, letting the kidneys keep a steady, healthy balance.
That makes sense. And I also saw a note about spacing your water out.
Yes. Avoid gulping. You know, when you realize it is 3 in the afternoon, you haven't drank anything, and you just down a whole huge bottle.
Yes, the panic chug.
Gulping massive amounts like that just overwhelms the kidneys. It is much better to sip gently through the day.
Oh, and what about listening to body cues? Like after eating a big basket of salty fries at a restaurant?
Oh, that is a great example. Have you ever felt that frantic, intense thirst right after a salty meal?
Oh, totally. Like I could drink a whole pitcher of ice water in one breath.
That is your body working perfectly. The sodium in your blood just spiked, and your brain is urgently asking for water to thin the blood back down to a safe level.
So in that case, chugging plain water is good.
Yes. Listen to the cue, drink calmly, and let the body rebalance itself.
Okay, so if the big gallon jug of plain water isn't the final answer, what should we actually be stocking in our kitchens? Let's go through the list.
Well, bananas are the most famous potassium source, and they are great. But we really need to look at leafy greens like spinach.
Spinach over bananas.
Yes, spinach is incredible because it gives you a big dose of potassium, but it also brings magnesium.
Okay, wait. Magnesium. I see that word everywhere. Why is magnesium so vital for our cell doors?
It goes back to that massive energy cost we talked about. The pump needs a ton of cellular energy to run.
Right, a third of our daily energy.
But that energy cannot function on its own. It literally cannot spark unless it holds hands with a piece of magnesium first.
Oh, wow. So magnesium is like the spark plug.
Exactly. If your body is low on magnesium, it doesn't matter how much potassium you eat. The pump doesn't have the spark to spin the doors.
That completely explains why spinach is so good. It delivers both the cargo and the fuel.
Yes. Avocados are also amazing. They have a really dense amount of potassium, way more than a banana.
And what about coconut water? I see people at the gym drinking that a lot.
Coconut water is a lovely tool, mostly for active days. It naturally has a sodium and potassium mix that closely mirrors human sweat.
So it is like a natural sports drink.
Exactly. But without all the fake dyes or refined sugars.
Speaking of heavy foods, sweet potatoes are on this list too. But, I mean, no one is eating a sweet potato in the middle of a hot run.
No, and that is a really good distinction to make. A pinch of salt or a sip of coconut water is for quick fixes in the moment, like Michael in the Texas heat.
Right.
Sweet potatoes, which have massive amounts of potassium, are for building your baseline balance. They give you the deep mineral reserves you need before the daily stress even begins.
Yeah, I love that. Building the reserve. What else is good?
Yogurt is great. It gives you potassium and supports gut health, which helps your body absorb everything better.
Gut health is so important.
It really is. And citrus fruits, like oranges, are nice because the mild acid makes your mouth water, which makes drinking plain water feel more pleasing.
And for plant-based folks, white beans and lentils are huge for potassium.
Yes, it is a very normal, easy list. You don't need fancy items. But we also have to talk about the things that block our balance.
The saboteurs.
Yes. Highly processed snacks are the biggest trap. They have so much fake sodium that it totally wipes out whatever potassium you ate that day.
And what about those bright blue sports drinks?
They are tricky. They are marketed for health, but the heavy refined sugar in many of them can actually block your gut from pulling in the fluid. Yeah. The sugar demands water to break down, so it pulls fluid into your stomach instead of letting it go into your blood.
That is frustrating. And we mentioned coffee and drinks earlier.
Yes. Having alcohol or lots of caffeine late in the day gently pushes fluid out. If you enjoy them, just be mindful to add back some greens or a banana.
Okay, so I have to ask the practical question for everyone listening, because shooting all this body chemistry can feel like a lot of pressure.
I know, it can sound heavy.
Do I need to get an app and start obsessively tracking every single milligram of sodium and magnesium I eat? Because doing math at lunch sounds awful.
It sounds miserable, and thankfully, you really do not need to do that.
Oh, thank goodness.
Obsessive tracking often just creates more stress. And as we discussed, stress creates cortisol, which ruins your cell doors anyway.
So we just aim for general, gentle habits.
General care and just listening to your body, it is about spotting the patterns. If you notice you get a heavy headache on the days you skip lunch and just drink coffee and plain water,
then you know why it is happening.
Exactly. You don't need a math chart. You just need to add a handful of spinach to your dinner or have an avocado. Small, gentle choices matter so much more than perfect tracking.
We have covered so much ground today. We started with that heavy, gallon-sized water jug and the mystery of why chugging it all day still leaves us feeling so parched and tired.
And we found out it is not a volume contest at all.
Right. It is about giving your cells the keys, the sodium, the potassium, the magnesium that they need to unlock those tiny cell doors and actually let the water inside.
And when you understand that, you can step back and listen to your body with so much more grace.
No more guilt about not drinking enough.
Right. If you have those night cramps or the afternoon energy crash, your body is likely not begging for another giant bottle of plain water. It just wants the gentle mineral tools it needs to use the water it already has.
It feels like it is officially time to let go of the idea that if a little water is good, a massive amount of plain water must be better.
Which leaves us with a truly curious thought to ponder as we wrap up today. If our daily energy and our cell health are this deeply tied to such a tiny, delicate physical balance, what other so-called healthy habits like rigidly forcing ourselves to chug plain water might we be completely overdoing simply because we confuse the idea of more with the reality of better?
That is something to really sit with.
These thoughts, these questions, they don't have to stop here. Wellness Geeks has many more podcasts and videos just like this one. Subscribe to the channel and explore other episodes. They all flow the same gentle way. If this podcast felt genuinely useful to you, share it with even one person in your life. That one share can bring a real change in someone's life. And it helps Wellness Geeks reach more people who truly need this. If this brought you real value, look for the Join button right next to the Wellness Geeks logo below this video. Click it and become a member of the Wellness Support Circle. Your support helps honest health awareness reach thousands who are silently struggling. Wellness Geeks moves forward because of you. Thank you so much from the heart for being here.